So today on Decoy Noise, we're going to go over an Am I the Antagonist thread that is, am I the antagonist for sharing a coworker's erotic fiction with others in the office? So we're going to kind of change things up a bit. I'm going to do more of the controversial Am I the Antagonist thread, so there can be more of a discussion in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe down below. It looks like we're at 632 subscribers, which, believe it or not, is a very big deal for me. So if you haven't already, subscribe down below, and also in the comments let me know which number you are, so it helps me keep track of these things, and then also just kind of adds you to what I'm calling the decoy koi on my my channel. So I mean, let's just skip all the rest of that talk and get right to this conversation, because this one's gonna be intense. So starting, a coworker was sharing their screen with us during a brief component of a presentation, and I happened to catch a page open on the side. I was bored during the presentation, so absentmindedly, I started reading it, and to my surprise, I realized it was a really dirty story. It was well written and actually pretty hot, to the point that I thought, let me grab this for later. Weird. I was able to discern from the available window what the story title was and the name of the website, so I went to the website and I did manage to find the same story. I ended up really enjoying the story, so I clicked on the username and read a few of the other stories. Super awkward, but let's read on. There were some serious stories with multiple parts or recurring characters, and one was, to my utter shock, pretty obviously our office and people in it, which meant this wasn't something they were reading, and this is something they were writing. No judgment, read on. I was so amused by there being about 24 erotic stories of the people in our office that without thinking, I messaged the entire link to a longtime friend explaining what I found out that day. I intended to it just be a laugh between us, but I hadn't communicated that to them in time because they were immediately sent to 5 other people. So you can see where this is going. Our entire office knows about it now, especially with so little other socialization or inter-office drama. Oh, because everybody's at home right now. So the poor author managed to reverse engineer the spread and found out that I was the one who first found it out and spread it around. They were mortified, beyond embarrassed, actually seriously considering quitting because they're not sure how they could reasonably return to work with these people after they read about something like this and how she thinks about them in the context of fantasy. Yes. I apologized and told her it's because I thought it was so well written that I looked them up and read them in the first place, but understandably, that wasn't enough to smooth this over. I don't know whether I'm an idiot who made an honest mistake in the moment or an asshole who made a malicious mistake that's inexcusable. Am I the antagonist? So, like we do in all Decoy Noise videos, I'll give my input. We're going to go to some top comments, and then we're also going to go over the controversial comments as well. But I do take value in the comments you guys drop down below. So before I rant right now, I want to know what you guys, the audience of Decoy Noise, are thinking about this. Are they the antagonist? Are they an honest mistake? Should they not have done it? So my takeaway from this right now is, this is insane. I really don't have a good response to this at all, but they are kind of messed up for like digging and sharing and going through. It wasn't like something that was like shared through her directly. It was just she was snooping in the side window of something that was in a presentation and kept on digging. They kept on digging, and that's weird. I mean, I see where they said it was an honest mistake because they meant to send it to one person, but really didn't tell them like the parameters of what they wanted to do with the story. They just shared it with everybody, and everybody knows. So I want to say in Decoy Court, where we give them knee-jerk reaction with little or no evidence of proof, she's guilty of being the antagonist here. I mean, I understand the mistake, but yeah, that was pretty messed up what they did right now. So if you have already dropped your comment down below, let's make sure we read these top comments together right now. So the first top comment is, you are totally and completely, you are the antagonist. So much it boils my blood. You're an antagonist for being nosy, snooping on someone else's computer, sharing said material when you realize that it involved people in your office, your poor excuse of an apology in the vein of a backhanded compliment in the face of your coworker considering quitting solely because of your actions. Yeah, that was a bad excuse, but it probably was made up on the fly. Personally, my views are that of all your excuses are crap, and you wanted to watch the drama. There's a reason you even published the author's use of pen name for the erotica they write. Be a better person because you suck. Okay, so I get that. Looks like they put also an edit to tack onto that. So one thing I will say is, yeah, you know what? This is the whole thing. Is this was just drama. this was just, hey, look, I'm not doing anything else at home. Let me dig through all the other stuff that they have going on in their life, like on that side tab. And then they said, oh, let me go find their pen name. Now let me go share it and say, oh my God, can you believe, I don't know the person's name, but can you believe what Tyler did? Oh my God, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, they're the antagonist, but let's read on right now. Hey everybody, I just want to say that I understand that the polarizing nature of this post, and that 80% of the comments so far, whether they agree with the judgment, have not been civil. Thanks. However, this post garnered a lot of traction, so I'll only be making one edit as I'm seeing an increased number of negative comments. Please keep in mind that when giving a "you're the antagonist" verdict in this sub, it's based upon if any given situation a kindness could have reasonably been extended and was not. Okay, I didn't realize that, but that's true. In this post, we were asked not to judge the proclivities and moraliness of erotic fiction, or if leaving a tab with sensitive material open in a conference makes you an antagonist or dumb, as quite a few people have said. Yeah, you know what though? We're not discussing the moralness of this of being there. It's the whole thing where it's like, you're leaving sensitive material on it that was obviously private. Why are you digging it? But you know what though? If they said, if the original poster came through and originally said, hey look, I don't think this is right, like this is against my moral fiber to say you can't write that type of fiction about people in the office, they deserve to know because other people are somewhat exposed. I don't know, since it's fiction, but just the idea that if that was the premise of her sharing the content of that information, then I can see why it was deserved to be shared, but it wasn't. It was purely for the sake of drama. But let's read on. The question is OP an antagonist for sharing another worker's erotica fiction with the rest of the office? At three separate points, OP has 3 mental self-checks to assess their choices, and they ignored them. True. My personal reaction is based off the lack of situational awareness that would have presented itself in this situation. For reference, the mental self-check is, should I be doing this? Being nosy, snooping around someone's computer. And the mental checks, oh my God, the mental self-check ignored and action taken to support this point is, it was well written and actually pretty hot, to the point that I thought, let me grab this for later. See, that's even kind of, I hate to say OP's kind of creepy for saying that, but I mean, yes, no, I don't know, So, reading on. OP got the non-related fiction from the coworker's computer and saved the information for later use. Sharing said material when you realize that it would involve people in your office. The mental self-check ignored and action taken to support this point is, I read a few of the other stories. I was amused. Okay, so this is just more of that. So they just said he intended to be a laugh between the two of the OP and the friend that he originally shared the video with. So it was just gossip. See, and let's read on. This is the event horizon point of this post. OP saw the material related to the coworkers after seeing a non-related work, consumed and enjoyed by this content, then sent it to someone else in the office explaining what they found. Then that person sent it to others. OP deliberately chooses not to extend the kindness to the coworker who wrote those fictions, but instead use it for gossip. And like I said, decoy court is not correct. It's just my own personal opinion on this thing. I kind of think that even in the privacy of their own home, like, the whole, like, writing this stuff, that's kind of, like, I don't know, bizarre for me. Like, I hate to pass judgment on, like, you know, to each his own, the privacy of their own home, but just the idea that it's there. I mean, I'm not trying to be like this bright white, shining white knight where I'm saying, like, I would always do the right thing, but I kind of want to put myself in that situation. Had I found the same thing, like a good friend of mine from work was writing erotic fiction about myself and other coworkers, I don't think I could see that and be like, oh my God, click out. That was weird. I think that I would probably gossip. I think I would probably, me, myself, not being a perfect person, would be like, oh my God, did you see this? You know what I mean? So we're not trying to throw the book at this guy, but I mean, I can kind of see where OP's coming from this, even though he's getting bashed right now. Like this poster right here is going to town on him, but let's read on. OP was neither offended or concerned and had no intention of taking it to HR, as that was never mentioned in their post. If that was their intention, sharing it to the office was still wrong. It should have been shared and mentioned to HR and HR only. Evidence of OP's feelings have been italicized. So, and also, your poor excuse of an apology in the vein of a backhanded compliment in the face of your coworker considering quitting solely because of your actions. Mental self-check ignored and action taken to support this point. So he quotes him again saying that they knew that it was just like a crappy excuse and they threw it at him anyways, but reading on. After OP used their coworker for gossip and thoroughly humiliated them, OP offers their coworker a solace by saying, well, they were so well written Oh, they're written so well, ignoring the gravity of their actions. Stay safe, everyone. Wash your hands. Say hello to your loved ones. Okay, so that's a good sentiment at the end of it. After thoroughly murdering OP, they say, wash your hands. So, I mean, yes. So, it's, the top reply to that was, seriously, I rarely get mad at scenarios posted in the sub, but I'm legitimately furious. He should be fired for snooping and sharing private materials from a colleague's computer. You know what? They may or may not be fired for that, too, because that's like anything private on their desktop. So that's the thing, is like I'm very wrong in a lot of my like knee-jerk reactions on this, so it's good for me to read all the different like takes to this, because originally my response was wrong and I'm willing to admit that. But let's read this next top comment. You are totally and completely... Oh no, this is the same top comment. Okay, so the next reply. This sub is weird. He's the antagonist for sharing what was private, fine, whatever. But she's not the antagonist for writing erotic stories about real people without their consent and then publishing them publicly. That was blatantly the antagonist here move. Creepy as heck and a giant red flag. See, I kind of thought that too, so I'm glad somebody kind of agrees with me. Reading on, I wonder how all the people writing why you're the antagonist would feel if somebody wrote and then published an erratic story about them without their consent. Very clearly, everyone sucks here. Anyone saying otherwise is a creep. You know what? And that's kind of what I touched on a little bit earlier, where I was like, hey, if I saw this, I would need to share it. I would have felt like weird, like, what is this? Like, and sad to say, it would be a thing of, it's like, there's really nothing else going on in my life that's as interesting as, hey, did you realize that person we work with thinks of us in that very different way? But going on to the next reply. Oh, thank goodness for this comment. I'm a woman working in an office setting, and if I publicly posted erotic stories about a coworker without their consent, I would be fired immediately. And our chief operations officer in HR would be in a meeting room with the company lawyers to prepare for the harassments in case. You know what? That's one thing I didn't even think about right now. There's going to be harassment lawsuits at the end of the day right here, which is probably why the other person is thinking about quitting. I generally don't like to play the gender reversal card, but if the post was about a dude writing wank material describing the woman in his office in erotic situations, I think people would have an easier time seeing how unprofessional and crude this behavior is. And you know what? It always is important to say, do the gender reversal thing right there, to say, hey, look, always seeing this from all the different facets, because there could be men in that office that, if they're involved in that thing, would be very offended and uncomfortable going into work anymore if they saw what was written about them. So, yes, I can see that being a thing. And the reply is, original poster does not get a pass for their part, and it's unacceptable how we're brushing over such a creepy behavior from this coworker. Gross. And you know what? It's good to see all these different, like, takes on it, because this is just a weird, I don't even say weird, I don't want to say creepy either, I just want to say, like, this is something different in a nice way. And the next reply is, and she also literally shared her screen with this material on it. I'd rather end the call and say my internet went out before being caught with a screen share of erotic material about my coworkers. You see, that's why this one kind of distracts, because it wasn't the material. It was like that original poster had to dig. He found that story, read it, was like, wow, I like it, and then looked at the other stories and found out the other things or whatever. So, I mean, let's just look at one more, let's actually just go over to a controversial, because this one's running long or whatever, but I mean, I'm glad you're sticking it in there with me right now. If you like this, make sure you're subscribing down below, but let's read a controversial one because I want to know what's going on. So, you're the antagonist. The author even didn't give you permission to read it, let alone share it. Bear in mind, this is your work, and your coworkers spreading their erotic fiction around the office is far from professional. You should have stopped being nosy and kept the knowledge to yourself. And I would say they had the right to share it if it was in the context of something else. But I mean, this one was a good story. We could go on forever because there's a whole bunch of other good, controversial, and regular replies. But I mean, the video is going long enough as it is. Drop in the comments your thoughts or whatever. But I mean, if you've made it this far in the video, we're doing a little celebration here. Subscribe down below. Check out that video over there. But also, share with me what kind of content you like. Do you like me covering these more controversial antagonist threads where we can kind of have more of a debate and a discussion? Because the other videos that we're doing were mainly like, oh yeah, they're never the antagonist. They're always being the good guys. So let me know how you like this kind of format, and hope to see you in the next video.